First off, Rory McIlroy, this is a muscular issue. It is not a structural or skeletal issue, but he has been resting and receiving treatment since pulling out of the Arnold Palmer Invitational on Saturday. He did tell me yesterday that this tweak of his lower back has been more stubborn than anticipated, so he's decided to stay home today. However, he has gotten better each and every day, and the plan for Rory McIlroy is to now have treatment at home in South Florida. Then after that treatment tomorrow morning, he is going to travel to Ponte Vedra Beach, come to the grounds here at the stadium course, and start his preps for the Players. So his intention is to participate in the Players for 2026 as the defending champion. Now, Harry Diamond, his longtime caddy, has been scouting the stadium course over the last couple of days, and he was out there this morning. Here he is walking up the 18th hole. Now, there's a very good chance, and it's actually likely, that Rory McIlroy will just come out tomorrow and hit balls on the player practice area. He has not hit a significant shot since last Friday of the Arnold Palmer Invitational, so he's probably going to come out here, just hit balls, and not play a 9 or 18-hole practice round. So when he tees it up on Thursday, if everything goes as planned and his back is cooperating, he will see this golf course for the very first time. But Rory McIlroy is planning to, again, arrive here tomorrow, Wednesday, to start his preps for the Players, and he plans to be a participant here come Thursday. Damon?
Todd, thank you very much. You've been covering this story very closely since Saturday when the news broke at Bay Hill. Rory, of course, in the late early wave, so he can rest as much as possible before Thursday. He sees off 1:42 p.m. Eastern time with Xander Schauffele and Hideki Matsuyama. Rory was also in the late early wave last year when he won the Players for a second time, but not ideal preparation, AO. Dealing with an injury, how big of a concern is it in your mind that he is not going to be getting those reps in while the rest of his peers study this golf course?
I think it's more, I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned, if you really want to get down to brass tacks, I'm not concerned tee to green. Because I think he's got it, as long as his body's healthy and he can move the way he wants to move, and he can get through his golf swing the way he wants to get through it, I don't think tee to green is going to be an issue. He's got 15 players under his belt. He knows this golf course like the back of his hand. He's won here twice since the move back to March. We're obviously still in March. He knows it. He's seen the conditions and seen all the different wind directions that can come at this place. I'm not concerned with that. I would be more concerned with short game.
Yeah.
And this place requires not only tee to green excellence, which he is very well adept at, but it requires around the green just phenomenal abilities. And when you miss it in the wrong spots, those abilities are going to have to be apparent, and you're going to have to come up with the goods. So either A, don't miss it in the wrong spots, is what he's going to do, and he knows where the wrong spots are for every hole location out here. Or B, get as much short game work in tomorrow as your back allows you, because, you know, putting and chipping and sand play, that is going to come into effect, and you're going to have to be good around the greens no matter how well you hit the ball around here this week.
Well, and understanding how the ball reacts to the greens. So far this week early, we've heard that it's firmer than typical, especially at this point in the week. We may get a little bit of rain on Thursday. It's been forecasted. But getting and understanding how that ball releases on the greens and out of the thick and heavy rough, which is the other variable that we've heard that is slightly more difficult this year than in years past.
That's the only thing that I'm actually concerned about from a ball striking standpoint. Rolf mentioned it yesterday, and it was a very good point, that getting this rough, it's the thickest we've seen in quite a while, and getting that back to do what he needs it to do from that rough. And if he's not going to play a practice round and see that rough, that'll be interesting to see how he gets through that the first couple times he has to hit out of it, Lav.
I will say that is a more encouraging update than we had 24 hours ago. Keep in mind, Todd Lewis was on the desk yesterday, received a text message from Rory McIlroy a couple minutes before we went on the show, and Rory said that the, quote, hope was that he could travel up to TPC Sawgrass on Wednesday. Now he's fully intending to do so on Wednesday with the anticipation he's going to be playing on Thursday. I think overall, any sort of stalled momentum would be a bummer for Rory McIlroy. You look at what he's done over his past couple of weeks. Made a boatload of birdies at Pebble. Couldn't buy a putt over 27 holes at Riviera. Otherwise, he could have won that golf tournament. You look at what he did last week at Bay Hill. Bounced back from a sort of so-so opening round and shot 68. Like, he was inside the top 10 heading into the weekend at Bay Hill and could have mounted a chart. So his game prior to the injury is right where he wanted it. I think it's going to be very curious to your point, AO, whether he can pick back up where he left off.
At the same time, Lav, I think psychologically, too, as a player who's been injured a lot, unfortunately, it lowers your expectations when you show up. You don't have the same expectations. So you're trying to feel everything out, and maybe it slows everything down, puts everything in sync. We'll see. And maybe he doesn't take as many chances off the tee, and maybe he doesn't go at things hard. This is a finesse golf course off the tee. It's not a slant, get up there and bomb it all over the place. And Rory knows that. He knows that he's got to finesse it around here off the tee. And maybe, who knows, maybe that helps him a little bit and takes that aggression that he likes to take out on the tee box. Sometimes he'll kind of nullify that a little bit, and he'll play a little bit smarter off the tees.